Rome is a city built on top of itself. The physical weight of its history, layered over thousands of years of continuous habitation, dictates almost everything about how the modern capital operates today. This tension between the ancient and the modern was heavily exploited after the First World War. Italy emerged on the winning side, but lost hundreds of thousands of men for what many citizens considered a hollow reward. Benito Mussolini seized on this deeply frustrated public, taking power in 1922. Mussolini did not view Rome's ancient ruins as fragile heritage to be carefully protected. Instead, he recognized the imagery of the old Roman Empire as an incredibly effective tool to manufacture political legitimacy for his fascist regime. To create his ideal backdrop, he systematically destroyed parts of the working city. Entire medieval, working-class neighborhoods were demolished to carve wide, sweeping avenues, like the Via dei Fori Imperiali, straight through ancient archaeological districts. This produced a bizarre architectural hybrid. In areas like the EUR district, the government erected grand, stark structures designed to mimic classical Rome. They were built explicitly to impress and intimidate the public, rather than serve the people actually living in them. In the span of a few decades, Rome's ancient history had been weaponized. The city's ruins were used as physical props to enforce modern political compliance. That aggressive imperial posturing tied Rome's fate directly to the escalating violence of the Second World War. As the war intensified, Rome held a unique advantage over other European capitals. The presence of the Vatican, combined with the city's sheer concentration of historical sites, made Allied commanders deeply reluctant to order widespread bombing campaigns. But the city did not escape entirely. Allied bombers targeted the working-class San Lorenzo district in July 1943, dropping explosives that killed thousands of civilians in a matter of hours. Italy switched sides shortly after, prompting an immediate and brutal occupation by German forces. It took nearly a year before Allied troops finally broke through and liberated the city in the summer of 1944. Fascism had collapsed. Rome was left economically devastated, politically fractured, and stuck with the massive, sprawling architectural remnants of a defunct propaganda machine. One of the largest surviving remnants was Cinecittà Studios, an enormous production complex Mussolini originally constructed to pump out fascist films. Rather than abandoning the lots, post-war Italy put the equipment back to work. These studios became a primary engine for the country's rapid economic recovery throughout the 1950s. American production companies poured in to shoot major Hollywood epics. They utilized Rome's expansive studio space and ancient architecture as sweeping romantic backdrops, stripping the ruins of their recent political associations. Millions of dollars in foreign capital flowed through the local economy. Within a decade, the international perception of Rome as the seat of a dictatorship was overwritten by a sense of cinematic wonder. Rome successfully navigated the fallout of a disastrous war by repackaging its own ancient mythology and selling it to global audiences as pure entertainment. Through the 1950s and 60s, this influx of film money and international attention solidified a new identity. Rome emerged as a center of global glamour. When international stars like Audrey Hepburn were filmed riding a Vespa past the Trevi Fountain, it broadcast a highly romanticized, intoxicating vision of Italian life to theaters around the world. The allure compounded rapidly. Actors, directors, and artists flooded the city, turning Rome into a playground for the wealthy and famous during what became known as the La Dolce Vita era. This relentless pop culture exposure translated directly into physical visitors. A massive tourism industry emerged, built almost entirely around shepherding millions of people through the city's classical monuments. This lucrative economic pivot tied Rome's future to its history. By leaning so heavily on its monuments, the city's economy became locked into serving the past, leaving little room for the industrial growth required for modern municipal development. Today, Rome is a sprawling metropolis. Over 2.7 million people live within the city proper, generating all the heavy logistical demands of a 21st century European capital. Rome faces a severe infrastructural bottleneck. Despite its massive population, it has exactly 2 fully operational metro lines. Every time engineers attempt to dig a new tunnel, the boring machine strikes ancient foundations. By law, heavy machinery must stop immediately for archaeologists to investigate. You can see the result at street level, where active archaeological excavations sit directly in the path of stalled transit developments. Without a comprehensive underground transit network to absorb the population, millions are forced above ground. This creates inescapable, suffocating traffic on roads that were laid out centuries ago. The physical artifacts that generate the city's wealth and global prestige are the exact same objects paralyzing its ability to function as a modern metropolis. It creates an incredible visual environment. You can walk from a medieval alleyway into a Baroque piazza and straight into a 2,000-year-old ruin within minutes. But a beautiful backdrop doesn't fulfill the practical needs of the people living inside it. Rents are rising steadily, pushing younger locals out toward the distant suburbs. Meanwhile, the job market remains heavily concentrated in tourism and government administration, leaving few opportunities for alternative careers. It leaves the city caught in a perpetual balancing act. It has to operate as a carefully curated open-air museum for tens of millions of global visitors, while trying to remain a functional, livable ecosystem for its citizens. It poses a question that few other places on Earth have to answer. How do you build a functional future when your past is this valuable, and yet so physically heavy? Rome's ancient legacy is the foundation of its survival, but it remains a burden the modern city carries every single day. If you found this look into Rome's history interesting, please like the video and subscribe to the channel. We have many more stories to cover, and as always, we'll see you in the past.